Hey friends, happy Wednesday, the 17th of July. I think it's the 15th week of Ordinary Time. It's nice to be with you. I am Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I'll share with you a reflection based on the daily readings. The readings are linked below. Click the link, read the readings prayerfully, and then turn off the screen, spend some time with God before you move on to other things. Two parish announcements. First, we have a welcome potluck this Sunday at 1 p.m. for Father Augustine. A great opportunity to connect with some fellow parishioners and share some food and welcome Father Augustine into our midst. 1 p.m., SCM Parish Center, 624 Bridger. Even if you can barely bring anything or not bring anything, we seem to always have plenty of food, so we would love to have you join us. We are hosting Totus Tuus, which is a version of Vacation Bible School this week. Please be praying for our young people and be praying for our young church and our young families for the transmission of the faith to the next generation. I've also got linked below prayers for our country from the Archdiocese of New Orleans, just a page with some different prayers, and Bishop's Conference statement on political violence and praying for peace in our land. All right. Our readings today, we have Isaiah the prophet and we have Matthew's gospel. We started working with the prophets 2 weeks ago with Amos and then with Hosea. Now we're in Isaiah. We've seen lots of prophecies directed towards the people. This is the first with a prophecy directed towards external nations. This is directed towards Assyria. Remember that at the time of Isaiah the prophet, Assyria was the power of the region. Assyria is going to be replaced by Babylon. Definitely a power that comes from the east. I want to be very careful. I didn't look this up. The Babylonians were based in what we would call modern-day Iraq. I think that the Assyrians much the same, but I don't know that, so feel free to look that up. But coming from the east, right? In Isaiah's prophecy today especially, we hear that even though the people might see just the destruction and the might and the power of Assyria, that God is using this power as part of God's power and God's plan, right? At the end of that first major paragraph, we hear about the motivation of the Assyrians. It is in his heart to destroy, to make an end of nations, not a few. But Isaiah is saying that it's God who is sending Assyria, right? My rod in anger, my staff in wrath. Against an impious nation, I send him. And against a people under my wrath, I order him, right? To do what? To seize plunder, to carry off loot, and tread them down like the mud of the streets. So this is God, right? Using greed, lust for power, the darkness of human hearts in order to bring about God's will. And this can be hard, right? Getting our minds wrapped around God who allows evil and God who allows consequences for choices and decisions is in play. And then the second paragraph, it speaks of God's power. For by my own power I have done it. I've moved the boundaries of people, right? My hand has seized the rest. Right? And then the third paragraph. Will the axe boast against him who hews with it? Will the saw exalt itself against him who wields it? So again, God is over all. Certainly, plenty of anxiety in daily news. It's a good thing for us to root ourselves in prayer, to remember that for all the tumult, all the chaos, God is in charge, right? What's the chaos of our own life that we need to surrender into the hands of God? Where do we need to root ourselves in God, who is allowing evil and violence to exist in the story of the human family because God is in the process of redeeming everything in Jesus Christ? Okay. Gospel. Jesus who rejoices in God, who has revealed God's will to the little ones, to the humble, not to the learned. And we remember Jesus is a wandering itinerant rabbi from Galilee, from an insignificant province, that's not even Palestine and Jerusalem. But he is not in Rome. He's not in Athens. He's in Galilee. And God who brings the Son of God into the midst of this world in small and insignificant and humble ways. So often it is about the small decisions that we make, the ways that we root ourselves in our own littleness, the way that we trust that God is working in the imperceptible and insignificant ways that might be difficult for the human mind to even comprehend. This is part of the story of salvation. And we continue to pray that the Lord might grant us that grace to be open, receptive, humble, childlike, that we don't need to puff ourselves up with pride, accomplishments, achievement, but that it is indeed the grace of God working in us in ways that so often are difficult even to see. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Read those readings prayerfully, turn off the screen, spend some time with God before you move on to other things. Pray for our country. Pray for folks having a hard time. Pray for peace. God bless y'all.